Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely, which is important. I mean, we want to make the best use of our money, not waste it. And we like wine, we want to make sure we get a good wine for our money. And we are going to do I'm going to review Washington Rosé. I do this every year during Washington Wine Month. I love rosé. I remember when I first met my wife about 9 years ago. Come out to her house. We would enjoy wine together, and I would bring rosé, and she'd go, "You like rosé? You're a tough guy, right? You don't like rosé." I said, "I love rosé. I love rosé for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's refreshing, it's crisp, it goes well with food. Number two, it's like a cross between red and white. You get a little bit of a red feel with it, and of course a lot of white with it. Rosé can be done a couple of different ways. The main ways are Saignée method, which means they bleed off some of the juice when they're pressing the grapes to make a rosé, and then they use the rest of the grapes for that particular varietal. A lot of wineries do that. It makes sense because it's cost effective, right? They get double for their money. A lot of wineries now are making rosé straight up. In other words, they take the grapes, they press them, they leave them on the skins for a very short period of time to give them the color they want, and then the rest go away. And they just make a rosé with those grapes. That's happening more and more. And believe it or not, and I'm not sure if I've ever tasted one, some wineries just add red wine to white wine to make a rosé. I'm not sure who does that. I don't want to know really. That doesn't seem appropriate to me. But, it is a way to make rosé. Add red to white to make it pink. Go figure. A lot of people get stuck on the idea that a rosé has to be salmon colored, light colored to be good. That is not true. That is a fallacy. You can have rosés with dark color that are dry and delicious, just like rosés that are lighter colored. And I wish I could get people to understand that they do not have to be light colored to be good rosés. Tavel in France, almost dedicated entirely to rosé in the Rhone Valley. All their rosés, at least most of them, are fairly dark colored rosés. And they are absolutely my favorite rosés. One of these days, maybe this summer, I'll do an episode on Tavel. Great rosés. But let's get started with Washington State rosés. Now, I can remember when you can hardly get a rosé from Washington. I remember Barnard Griffin always won gold medals for the rosé over and over again. But now the competition is a lot more as more and more wineries are getting involved in making rosé. So let's get started with the Ryan Patrick Rosé from Washington State 2023. Doesn't say what it's made from. It just says rosé. It is $13. Now I used to get all worked up. Now this is light color, so a lot of people are like, yeah, we sell a lot of this wine at the store. So it's been a while since I've tried it. I'm very eager to try it to see what it's all about. But once again, a lot of people will go for those light colored rosés because for some reason, somewhere along the line, somebody said if it's a dark rosé, it's not that good. Very, very salmon colored light rosé. Now, I used to get mad if they didn't put the composition of the rosé on the label, but then a few winemakers said, you know what, it costs a lot of money to change the label every year if you change the composition. So it's cheaper for us to just put rosé on there or blend on there without putting the specific varietals and percentages because that costs money. Now I get that. I get it. So I'm kind of off that soapbox now. Let's see what we get on the nose with the Ryan Patrick 2023 Rosé. Pretty challenge on the nose. Get a little bit of a watermelon note. Maybe some light sherry, very light on the nose. Let's see what we get on the palate. Light on the palate, but there's a little bit more flavor. I get almost like a plum, sort of cherry notes on the backside, just a hint of watermelon underneath. So this is a very easy to drink, refreshing, crisp, dry rosé, which is good. And it's $13, which is a great price for a rosé. Yeah, I'm going to say, you know, I'm going to hedge towards C+ on this one. I think it's a great value. It's good wine. I like those plum and cherry notes on the finish. Up front, not so much. Just kind of dry and crisp, but then it gets into that, and then those plum and cherry flavors come out on the finish. Very simple rosé, easy to drink, C+. It's good. $13. Let's move on to the 2024, a little bit fresher, Kind Stranger Rosé. And again, this does not tell you what's in it. It's the Oldfield Vineyard, Yakima Valley, one of my favorite appellations in Washington State, and the oldest appellation in Washington State, Yakima Valley. And there's a lot of now sub-appellations in Yakima Valley. It's crazy, a lot of stuff going on. Now this has a little bit more color to it, and this Kind Stranger, I believe, rolls in at $16. Good color though, really pink. Some serious pink action with a little salmon color in there. Let's see what we get on the nose. So this has like nettles and cherries, watermelon. This has quite a nose. This has very aromatic. Get a hint of bubble gum, which is not unusual for a fresher rosé. This is 24. Get a little raspberry coming through. But that nettle component is very interesting. Let's see what, of course, once again, this is all a thing when you start talking about aromas and flavors and descriptions of wines, it all depends on what you're familiar with. Like, I've had some nasty experiences with nettles in my childhood, and for some reason that smell just sticks with me. So there you go. Cherries, watermelon, a little bubble gum, and a nettle component coming through. Let's see what we get on the palate. Nice intensity, good flavor. So you get the cherry notes come through, a little bit of watermelon underneath. The bubblegum component comes through, but not as much as some can. And then nice little fresh kind of herbaceousness underneath. Some nice raspberry notes come through as well with the cherry and the watermelon, sort of a nice potpourri of those flavors. Good balance, good acidity, nice and fresh. I like this rosé. $16. Good long finish on this one as well. I'm gonna go B plus. Let's move on to the. I'm going lighter to darker, so let's go ahead and do that. This is a 2024, another fresh one. Lake Hole number 41, Grenache Rosé, Alder Ridge Vineyard in the Horse Heaven Hills. And we talked about that. Better take the cork out of there, won't be able to pour it. This rolls in at $23. And I have it at the store for $20 because they kind of did a special for Washington Wine Month. So very good price on that, $20 right now at King's Market. Not that I'm pumping King's Market, but that's where I work. Lake Hole, very well-known winery in Washington State. They actually put Merlot on the map for Washington State. So it tells you it's Grenache, Merlot. It gives you the Alder Ridge Vineyard, which is a very famous vineyard in Washington State. And it tells you that it's Horse Heaven Hills. And we talked about Horse Heaven Hills, a huge appellation with many different subclimates and microclimates inside of it. So Grenache Rosé, again, Another lighter style salmon colored rosé. People love that. Can you eat strawberry, cherry, plum? Yeah, I would say strawberry, cherry, plum would be a good way to describe the nose on this one. Let's see what we get on the palate. Nice weight in the mouth, good structure. I like the meat. It almost has a meatiness to it, believe it or not. The strawberry, cherry, plum notes penetrate the palate, but it's dry rosé. I like to describe good rosés as dry and delicious. Delicious is sort of a cop-out for a lot of us wine guys, but because delicious can mean different things to different people. I mean, some people might think brains are delicious. I don't have any desire to try cow brains or whatever. I don't. So I don't even want to find out if they're delicious. But like I said, delicious to one person, not to the other. Yeah, I really like it. I'm really digging that rosé. I'm really digging it. Now, it's the most expensive of all of these. I know that because I know the Bar on Griffin is $13. But I like the texture. I like the mouthfeel. I like the balance. I like the acidity. I like the flavors of plum, strawberry, and cherry coming through front to finish. Yeah, I'm going to go straight up A on that one. I think that's a really good rosé. Let's move on. I just stuck those corks in because I didn't want them to keep breathing while they sat getting ready for this shoot. This is a 2023 Bar on Griffin Rosé of Sangiovese. This was in at $13, and I know that Rob Griffin and his daughter, this is dedicated to rosé. I know that because Rob doesn't make a Sangiovese. He thinks that Sangiovese makes a great rosé. And there's a lot of wineries that do Sangiovese rosés. $13. Bar on Griffin, long-time winemaker, right up there with Lake Cole. Rob Griffin's been doing it for a long time. His daughter now, Megan, is taking over some of the responsibilities as winemaker. She's the second generation. I'm so happy for her. She's doing a good job. So this is darker. So I'm glad to do this one. This is like a dark salmon color with a little bit of tinge of orange. A lot of people might say, well, that's not going to be a good rosé because it's darker. Not true. I want to get rid of that myth that's out there. Let's see what we get on the nose. This has a little herbaceousness, a little vegetal thing on the nose. This has a very interesting nose. I almost get like cherry and orange sort of thing going on. Cherry, orange. Hints of just a slight hint of strawberry coming through. Let's see what we get on the palate. You know, and this is what I love about rosé, is that this has some meatiness, just like the Lake Cole did. Very kind of meaty texture, nice mouthfeel, nice cherry, strawberry, and a little undertow of orange, like ripe oranges, which is very interesting. The herbaceousness, the vegetal quality does not come through on the palate. I'm still getting a little bit of on the nose. Nice expansion on the mid palate, but it's very dry on the finish, so you get that kind of delicious factor on the mid palate. Initial attack is good, consistent, good acidity, nice and fresh. The color is darker, but it doesn't matter because this is a good rosé. Yeah, this is tough. I gave the Le Col an A. I'm going to go A on this one as well. And it's $13. Right now I have a screaming deal at it at the store. I'm not going to say the price because this is not a selling platform. That's where I work. You know, so I have to mention it. Got a screaming deal on the Barnard Griffin Rosé. I mean, it's an A rosé. You know, he's received gold medals for many, many vintages of his rosé. Rob's into rosé. Obviously, Megan is now as well, and he does a nice job. Yeah. Washington State does an awesome job with rosé, and Saunier method, dedicated method, adding red wine to white wine, whatever they do, as long as it's a good rosé, that's really what matters, right? And of course, it's nice to get a good deal, like, you know, $13 rosés. Those are great deals. Sometimes you have to spend a little more. I mean, Tavels are more. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. I hope you appreciate this episode. I hope you reach out and try rosé. And remember, they don't have to be fresh. They can be a couple years old. Rosé does well. It can age a couple of years, sometimes 3. They do really well. So don't worry if you see a 22 or a 21 out there. They're really good. They can age a little bit. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see what's coming up next. Taste for Washington, the entire month of March is dedicated to Washington wines because that's where I live. And I think March is a good month to really focus on that since it's Washington Wine Month. You keep watching and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.